Welcome back after the break. Lose one game, the world starts panicking, using the familiar tropes of teams are panicking, the coach, the captains are unclear on what the team should be, on what the plans are, etc. etc. Let's look at the hypocritical pseudo views, all the gobbledygook that comes with this. All the talk from the Indian camp before the game was how explosive they were going to be with the bat. Virat Kohli even said lack of depth in batting had been preventing the top order batters from playing freely in the 20 over matches. This was the reaction of the pseudo experts and all the gobbledygook that came along with the loss in the first match. Everybody started panicking. Everyone said England had better plans. The captaincy of the England captain was better. Why? Because they won the toss, they restricted India to a total of 120, and then the questions came along. Why was Rohit Sharma rested? Why did India go with an extra bowler? That didn't help. And then England chased down the total of 120 runs in 15 overs. And then everyone said only 4 matches remain to make sure that the team for the 20 over World Championship is finalized. These are the final 4 games before the World Cup, and after that, there is the overhyped and overhyped 20 over domestic World Championship, that is the domestic World Cup, that is the Indian Pesa League or the Indian Pathetic League, and there the players will be scattered in different teams. They won't have time to be together as a team. They won't be plotting against other national teams because you would have a mixture of different players from different teams, and that tournament is played for fun. And then comes the second match. You win the second game, and all these pseudo chameleons change colors at the drop of a hat, continuing their hypocritical pseudo views. Let's take an example. Chase Master returns. Kohli's 49 ball 73, Ishan Kishan's fireworks on debut fashion victory. Ishan's dream debut enabled Kohli to go about his business with consummate ease and close out the chase. Pant came in at 2 for 94 after 10 overs and ensured the tempo didn't drop. He pumped 2 6s and 2 4s for a 13 ball 26, easing the burden on Kohli, who has been carrying out chases almost single handedly for years. The Indian team's new T20 philosophy of playing explosive cricket seems to be finally taking shape. Kohli's 6 of Jordan to seal the deal with 13 balls to spare was just the kind of domination he has been talking about going into this tournament. Compare this with all the talk from the Indian camp before the game was how explosive they were going to be with the bat. Skipper Virat Kohli even said the lack of depth in batting had been preventing the top order batters from playing freely in the 20 over matches. But the actual explosiveness came from England's fast bowlers on Friday. They pounded the Mortar pitch hard, and freedom the Indian batters crave was nowhere to be found. There you go. There come the pseudo hypocritical views of the pseudo chameleon experts, and that is how we look at a certain sport. We panic when we lose as if all is over, and then when the win comes, when the series is 1 all with 3 more matches to go, the tournament following a familiar trope it has followed for the last 5 to 6 years. Team A wins, Team B is under pressure, everyone is criticizing Team B, irrespective of the sport or player A and player B. For example, if Djokovic or Federer had lost their first match of a tournament, everyone would say they are rusty, they are reaching their age where they need to go away. And then they come back and win the second game, and everyone says, what age? Brings experience, age brings maturity, and this is how these pseudo chameleons work. Let's take a short break. Welcome back after the break. So let's continue talking about yesterday's game and the first game, which was a mirror image. Win the toss, bowl first, restrict the team, and then bat as if you have never batted before. Of course, giving debuts to Ishan Kishan and Surya Kumar Yadav worked because the theory was that these two are putting pressures on another duo of Pant and Shreyas Iyer. So four people who shouldn't have ideally played together played, which meant that all-rounder Akshar Patel missed out, which is fine because you always have to balance. And everyone was shocked when they went in with five bowlers. And then the theory was, can Hardik Pandya, who has been recovering from back and knee injuries, live up to the expectation of bowling 4 overs? Everyone questioned all the goobly dook about the technicality of five bowlers and the pressure it puts on one bowler if they go for ones come about. But the plan worked. They took a risk, went in with five bowlers. Well, at this point, it's irrelevant whether you go in with five bowlers, six bowlers. It's a matter of juggling things around. But that's how this entire debate came about. Now, with Rahul not scoring runs in the first two matches, there is a chance that Rohit Sharma, everyone wants Rohit Sharma in the team. He is itching to get back and hit 60 of 40 balls instead of hitting 50 of 150 balls. He is scratching that he wants to come back. He's itching. Controversies may have arisen on pseudo media that Kohli was not allowing Rohit Sharma to play because that's what pseudo media is. It's conspiracy and controversy media. All the morons on it come up with such wild theories which are not even tenanted, and that's how that media survives. But that's for another day. Enough of pseudo media and all the goobly dook on it. So yes, Rohit did not play in the first two matches, but let's not get specific about too many individuals because individuals come and go. This craze about Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, which has been going on for the past 7 to 8 years. Remember, pre 2012, we did not even want Rohit Sharma to be in the team. Why? Because he was not making runs. And then came about a change, an attitudinal change, a positional change, confidence by the team, management, captain, whatever you may want to put it in. He started making runs, and then everyone was prostrating before him and saying, wow, Rohit Sharma, hitman. All nomenclatures and monikers started coming along, and that is how the goobly dook and the chameleons change their colors. Let's take a short break. Enough of what happened in yesterday's match. Let's look at something even more interesting. Olympics, the most exaggerated, glorified, and flaunted international sports competition scheduled in June 2021, is the golden goose for Indian athletes, individual and teams, to show their critics and fanatics that the criticism they receive for not winning the gold will be put to rest once and for all. While Indian athletes have previously won gold medals in Commonwealth and Asian Game competitions, it is low key compared to the euphoria of winning gold at the Olympics. No wonder everyone was depressed. That includes the athletes, the sporting associations, the sponsors, when the Olympics were postponed due to irrational reasons. But this rescheduling of the Olympics has given enough time for athletes riddled with injuries to rehabilitate and rest their very bodies. The only way to judge and evaluate an athlete's performance is the number of matches they win, including the individual gold medals, and at the end of the tournament, combined medals for the country. While winning the silver and bronze medal gets them the accolades, it is the number of gold medals won that gets the attention of the masses. Now, this is very interesting. 5 years ago, the likes of PV Sindhu, Deepa Karmakar, Manika Batra, Hima Das, and their contemporaries were nowhere to be found. Nobody knew who they were. But once they started winning bronze and silver at the Olympics, it diverted the attention of a country obsessed with only one sport. Athletes see it as an obligation to tell their fellow citizens that the taxpayers' money spent on them, which includes the building of performance centers, hiring of coaches, especially foreign coaches, or being sent abroad for advanced training, does not go down the drain, and they will return the love of critics and fanatics by standing on top of the podium and wearing the elusive gold around them. In non Olympic events, with regards to team sport, the expectations are high. The contemporary hockey team, despite giving memorable performances, is still compared with the 1975 World Cup winning team, the overhyped 1975 World Cup winning team, and another overhyped 1948 team which won the gold in Olympics. This comparison, I feel, is unfounded. The rules in the last decade have changed, and scoring goals in hockey is now a tough nut, and therefore it demoralizes the players when critics reiterate this failure to win the gold medal and the World Cups. Unlike cricket, which has 10 teams competing in a tournament, hockey has over 16 teams, and the teams have to first pass through the league stage, then the quarterfinals, then the semi-finals, so it takes a toll on the players. The hockey players are not as fanatically followed as their cash-rich cricket counterparts. Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, Bumrah, Rishabh Pant, and others are on the fingertips of every sport fanatic in this country compared to names like Manpreet Singh, Harmanpreet Singh, and others. A 48-year wait can end in 2023. The weight of expectations is zero, as this allows the hockey team to stay under the radar and go on to achieve history. In fact, an interesting point, while the cricket matches are being broadcasted, everyone is following this tournament, even though it's just another private bilateral tournament. Hockey team has also begun playing its matches, but it's not being broadcasted anywhere. This shows the attitude of the sporting and the governing body, that what they think about this game, and not giving contract to any broadcaster, neither the broadcaster saying that we will broadcast the matches. So that is the attitude. You must be remembering the movie Chak De India, a very immature and foolish rendering of getting hockey back in people's good graces, where the women's team went on to win the World Cup or a World Championship. Remember, it was fictional, but it was aimed at how a bunch of ragtag women who did not even get along with each other with a coach who was disgraced. It may have taken events from a true story, but it was largely fictional, and that is the worst example of how to get a sport in people's mind. And that is, and this is what irritates me. Whenever a team wins, the DJ on the ground plays the theme song of Chak De India. That's the worst thing you can ever do. Remember, it's a fictional and a wretched rendering of a movie. But fact and fiction are different kettle of fish. So what happens in the real game, we will have to wait and watch. While the wait for the hockey team continues under the radar, patience is running out for the cricket team as two 20-over World Cups await in 2021 and 2022. Whether you follow the sport casually or like fanatics, the country will surely explode if 2021 and 2022 World Cups go in the favor of the team. Let's take the Women's 50 over World Championship, which is also going to take place in February 2022, will be an opportunity for the Indian women's team to show that the 2020 20 over World Championship was not an anomaly and that they can put the entire women's division on notice once again. Let's take a short break. Welcome back after the break to the final section of tonight's this beautiful morning's episode. We're going to do a different reading from Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. Act 1, Scene 1. Enter Leonato, governor of Messina, Imogen, his wife, Hero, his daughter, and Beatrice, his niece, with a messenger. Leonato, I learned in this letter that Don Pedro of Aragon comes this night to Messina. Messenger, he is very near by this. He was not 3 leagues off when I left him. How many gentlemen have you lost in this action? But very few of any sort and none of name. A victory is twice in itself when the achiever brings home full numbers. I find here that Don Pedro hath bestowed much honor on a young Florentine called Claudio. Messenger, much deserved on his part, and equally remembered by Don Pedro, he hath borne himself beyond the promise of his age, doing in the figure of a lamb the feats of a lion. He had indeed much bettered expectation than you must expect of me to tell you how. Leonato, he had an uncle in Messina, will be very much glad of it. I have already delivered him letters, and there appears much joy in him, even so much that joy could not show itself modest enough without a batch of bitterness. Let's take a short break. Leonardo, did he break out into tears? In great measure, Leonardo, a kind overflow of kindness. There are no faces truer than those that are so washed. How much better is it to weep at joy than to joy at weeping? Beatrice, I pray you, is Signor Montano returned from the wars or no? I know none of that name, lady. There was none such in the army of any sort. What is he that you ask for, niece? Hero, my cousin means Signor Benedict of Padua. Messenger, oh, he's returned, and as pleasant as ever he was. Now, this ends episode number 338 on the 15th of March 2021. I will be back on Wednesday, 17th of March 2021 at the same time. Till then, it's goodbye and good night from the weekly show with Aditya.
For more awesome content, tune in to the next episode of the Weekly Show with Aditya.